Hello, Fort Worth. This is Tyrone King, your candidate for the Fort Worth City Council District 8. Welcome for this week's edition of Tuesdays with Tyrone. So this week we'll be covering race relations in Fort Worth. So when it comes to race relations in Fort Worth, it's like that old Charles Dickens classic, A Tale of Two Cities. It's the best of times, it's the worst of times. It's the season of hope. It's the season of despair. It's the season of spring, yet it's the winter of despair. We have everything in front of us, yet we have nothing in front of us. So when it comes to people of color in our city, it is exactly that. It's the best of times and the worst of times. Fort Worth at its best. Perfect example. I had a couple millennial friends in town for a birthday party shortly before the pandemic hit. And we started out the day, I was showing them around the city, we started out the day in the cultural district, visited the museums, went and had dinner at the 7th Street corridor, and ended up our night at the Scat Jazz Lounge where we watched Sharon Keaton and the Joe Rogers Trio bring the house down. Well, we were leaving about 1:45 that morning. And I was walking them back to their car parked in the parking garage down by Bass Hall. As we walked through the square, one of the young ladies made the comment, "You know, I really love this city. It's one of the only cities, or the only city that I can think of where you can walk downtown at 2 o'clock in the morning and feel safe." And one of the other ladies brought up another city. We talked about it for about 30 seconds, and then we concluded that yes, Fort Worth is the only city that we know of where you can walk downtown at 2 o'clock in the morning and feel safe. And that's Fort Worth at its best. I love that about Fort Worth. But at its worst, I run a small business here in Fort Worth. And I honestly can't count the number of times that I've had the police called on me while I was just simply doing my job. And one instance in particular that really stands out. I had a project while I was working in this shopping center, doing some painting. And I had this young white guy, homeless guy, working with me. And I mean, he looked homeless. He was disheveled and, I mean, he just looked like the traditional homeless person. So we worked on this project for about 3 days and we were wrapping it up. And this guy walked over that worked at one of the adjoining businesses, young white guy. And he says, "Hey, buddy, you know, you guys really do a good job. I mean, I've noticed what you all done. You're professional. You're getting in. You're getting out. You're not wasting a lot of time. I really like it." He said, "My grandma needs some work done at her house." He said, "Do you all work for anybody?" I was like, "Well, we work for anybody that can pay us. You know, it's not like no community outreach or nothing like that." So, you know, we kind of chuckled about it. And then he asked me, "Do you think he will come down off the lift and come and talk to me about giving us an estimate?" And I'm going to be honest. My first thought was, no, he didn't. I know he didn't just say that. All this time that I put in, going to school, getting an education, working hard, staying out of trouble, doing everything I can to make it work. And yet, this homeless white man has to be the boss. And I'm going to tell you, Fort Worth, it hurts. It hurt deeply, and it hurts every damn time it happens. And that's what I thought. But what I said was, oh yes, absolutely. He would love to come down and talk to you about giving you an estimate. And I did that because a couple of days earlier, the homeless guy had mentioned, he said, "Well, you know what? He said, I think, you know, when it comes to race relations, I think y'all blow things out of proportion. It's not as bad as y'all seem. I think y'all just don't realize what's really going on." So I cut him off. I said, "Hey, look, you're not a man of color, so you will never understand what it's like being a person of color in our city. So we just might as well talk about something else. Might as well talk about the weather or whatever you want to talk about other than that, because you have no idea what you're talking about." So I called him on the phone. He came down off the lift, came over and asked me, hey, what's going on? I said, well, this guy wants to talk to you about something. So the guy, of course, told him the same thing he had just told me about his grandma needing work done. So the homeless guy looked at me and he said, well, hey, he's the guy you need to be talking to. He's the boss. I'm working for him. So the other guy, grandson, made the comment, well, Al, don't I feel like a piece of crap right now? And of course I said, well, unfortunately I'm used to it. So the homeless guy started to turn around and go get back on the lift. And then he turned around and looked at me because he remembered the conversation that we'd had 2 days earlier. And we all looked at it and I mentioned that it was a teachable moment. It's like, okay, this is a teachable moment for both of you all. But my question is, why is it that I always have to be the teacher? I mean, why can't I be taught sometime? And if it's going to be the case where I have to always be the one that's orchestrating the teachable moments, can I just use a platform and teach a whole lot of people at one time so that I don't have to continue to go through this over and over and over again? And when I say I, then I'm just reflective of a greater community. So if we're going to start to move forward, then can we just by some strange, twisted sense of fate, can we look at the fact that just maybe, this man of color can be my equal? Now, if we can do that, then we can start the healing process. And we can live up to what Dickens said in his Tale of Two Cities. We have everything ahead of us. But if we can't do that, then, like the other line, we have nothing ahead of us. But I believe in Fort Worth that the majority of people do not feel that way. But we need to start addressing that issue. Those who do not feel that way, those who see equality, we need to start by addressing that issue with our friends, our relatives, and anyone else in our circle that feel that one race is superior over another race. And if we can begin to do that, then we can achieve an all-inclusive Fort Worth, and we can achieve all those things that are ahead of us. So thank you. That's this week's edition of Tuesdays with Tyrone. So let me know what you think, Fort Worth. And don't forget, get out and vote May 1st. God bless you. I love y'all. And God bless our great city.